nuclearism, capitalism.
Yeah. This resolution between two has conceded a framework debate. They've conceded that we should be able to weigh the impact of the advantages of the affirmative against any perspectival action. They don't have any impact in the round other than it precludes the possibility of an ethical act. However, they've conceded that evidence showing reason on the 1AR and the evidence serving the 2AC that indicates that ignoring consequences in the face of ethical action is particularly counterproductive. Well, do you want to use on turning this argument? Also, because they do not have a good answer to Lewis 92 evidence. They tried to get out of it by trying to spin this revolution towards the revolution is coming in the status quo. But Lewis 92 evidence assumes the status quo. It indicates that the revolution in the status quo is not powerful enough to emerge victorious, and that the revolution in the status quo, as it is coming in the status quo, will fail and lead to a fascist takeover. That means we should derail it in order to prevent a fascist takeover. This evidence they don't have answers for. Also, they haven't answered John's argument to other Lewis 92 evidence that indicates that capitalism doesn't trend toward exploitation and actually forces things like racial discrimination. John gives an example of South African apartheid, which is not answered. Which is not answered anywhere. And the 200 now nuclear discourse debate group the framework debate at the top, or what's left of the framework debate. 200 literally doesn't touch this. Doesn't mention framework consequentialism or utility. Anywhere in the debate, we have three pieces of evidence to examine. The first two are the Rock and Johnson evidence, which indicates that ethical action should not proceed. Consequences are evidence indicates first of all that even ethical action is based in consequence. That means you should evaluate things like our advantages before you evaluate their ethics, because they literally are all evaluated the same way. Our Johnson evidence indicates that evaluation of ethics is doomed is doomed to failure. The evidence indicates that there will be massive consequences if you only evaluate ethics. The evidence indicates that you will begin to sacrifice massive amounts of people in order to preserve a good ethic. Also, the Alinsky 71 evidence showing reason the 1AR indicates that ignoring consequences are literally immoral. This turns their standard to evaluation on the bottom of the capitalism critique. This evidence indicates that they would sacrifice others to preserve their own moral purity. This evidence also indicates that the only moral act is to produce the best end, the best consequential end. That means you have a literal obligation to affirm it. Now we'll do our advantage extensions first. Our weird 93 evidence that indicates that gender violence is out of control now. Our evidence indicates that this type of domestic violence is literally feeding patriarchy. Our weird 93 evidence indicates that this feeding patriarchy makes the inevitability of nuclear war worse and worse over the short term. That this means this will ultimately culminate in nuclear war and extinction. If we do not get rid of it, that our second amendment is the hate crimes amendment. And now that indicates we have to reinterpret Section 5 of the 14th Amendment in order to ensure that hate crime legislation gets passed in the status quo. Our terminal impact of genocide. This will turn back the impact of their critique on an ethical level anyway, because it's not ethical to endorse a genocide because you want some stupid damn revolution. Also, our evidence is phenomenal. This question is it talks how massive amounts of people will die, which would vastly outweigh anything. The evidence indicates that hate crimes would ultimately spiral out of control and cause extinction, which will outweigh any risk of a capitalism dead, because just because we don't have an ethical revolution doesn't mean that we should have extinction. And our biodiversity argument, which indicates that Congress needs the ability to regulate so the Clean Air Act gets enforced, and so the Clean Air Act gets enforced, and acid rain precipitation off coastal lakes doesn't destroy the coastal ecosystem by crushing biodiversity. Now, the bottom of it. This is where he says Alicard. He says nuclear discourse patriarchal. First, our physical evidence indicates that nuclear discourse leads to effective political movements. This means two things. First of all, it means we'll be able to solve for the foul centrism in the status quo. We will solve our gender violence better because it would lead to increased political movements. It does literal studies where evaluations. Also, it means we'll be able to solve the ethics arguments because it leads to ethical movements in the status quo. Also, the lens evidence we're reading indicates that the only capable action is to solve for nuclear discourse is the fear of nuclear discourse. That fear leads to political action. And without it, we are literally doomed to failure. Capitalism. The dominant debate is just basically framework argument. He said the revolution is coming now, and we should act as if we were free to solve the national review reason that if the revolution is coming now, we will fail. This is where I'll do Lewis 92 evidence. So the Lewis 92 evidence reading the 2AC indicates that the extreme left lacks the kind of power necessary to emerge victorious from any type of real revolution that's going to take place in the status quo. Don't buy his arguments that they don't apply because the revolution has to strike twice. That's some damn stupid car that G-Check wrote all a long time ago. It's just jargon. There's no reason why the revolution has to strike twice. The revolution has to strike twice in a world where you pass the affirmative. However, our Lewis 92 evidence indicates that it will never strike twice because that first strike and the second strike lack any type of power necessary for a revolution. So even if the revolution struck once, like they wanted it in the absence of a plan, it would not be able to emerge victorious, and it would not have any type of revolutionary potential. Our Lewis 92 evidence indicates that the revolutionary potential of the G-Sex revolution would be a revolution of right-wing fascists that would take over and literally kill everybody on Earth. They have no answer to this. Our evidence indicates that the extreme left would move the extreme right. They would move to the extreme right in order to control society and implement the type of things that they want implemented. Nothing otherwise. That's 5. What?
No,
other than anything, our evidence indicates that they're not truly concerned about social injustice or anything like environmental protection, but instead liberals should embrace capitalism in order to solve the ethics that they talk about. Also, we're losing 22 evidence about South African apartheid indicates that capitalism would solve exploitation. They have no answer to this anywhere in the 2 and R. This evidence is phenomenal. It gives empirical examples of South African apartheid where capitalists were able to solve racial discrimination in South Africa. They have literally zero answer to this. That is an ethical action that capitalism has done in the past that would be able to solve the terminal impacts of the capitalism, which he doesn't extend anywhere. He talks about the revolution striking twice. It's above the extent of Cohen and Daly evidence says androgen violence matters. That's not true. Or the Cohen evidence is terrible. Also, one that the revolution wouldn't be able to solve anyway. And even if it did, or even if the revolution took place, what would happen is the fascists would take over and roll back things like violence, which would be able to wait the case. He says answer to Lane says to a current mode of thought. All that current mode of thought stuff doesn't make any sense in a world where the R. Lewis evidence takes into account the static revolution without the plan.